Sport in Order, the tournament. This is the Elite Eight. Welcome in. Great to see everyone on a Thursday afternoon, wherever you are checking out Sport in Order. Our Elite Eight matchup today is a good one. We have let's take a look real quick and look at those two just charming gentlemen getting ready to battle it out today. And that's right. You saw the Philly hat. You saw the versatile video superstar for FanSided, Sean Daley, ready to rock and roll and defend his Philadelphia Phillies and everybody else in Philly. Sean, welcome.
What's going on, Carm? I found this in the dumpster. It looked pretty good, though.
I think that's my favorite Philly jersey. It reminds me of my childhood and Mike Schmidt hitting bombs at Wrigley Field. Liam McKeone, editor of the Big Lead, leader of men. I don't know why I put that down as a note for you, but that's what I did for you, Liam. Welcome back to Sport and Order. Congrats on making it into the Elite Eight.
Thank you, Carm, for having me. And I think leader of men is the perfect way to describe what I'm about to do here today. Lead Sean to his defeat and lead myself to victory.
Hey, it's a spot in the Final Four on the line today. I can feel the tension. Here is how it goes for Sport in Order. If you're first checking us out today, there are 7 questions. We are playing the first to 4. It's like a best of 7 series here. First to 4, you take home the Elite Eight matchup here of Sport and Order. 30 seconds on the clock for each contestant per question. 30 seconds to give your best answer as to whatever take you have on what is being asked. And we will start today with the NFL. And Sean, we're going to have you go first here as a member of FanSided, taking on Liam because I am a member of FanSided. No bias here, but just, we're going to let Sean go first today. And yes, right here in my hometown, the Chicago Bears made an aggressive play. They tried to get Russell Wilson, 3 first-round draft picks, players, maybe even another pick was perhaps offered, as Adam Schefter is reporting. But hey, Seattle said no. And the Bears went out and signed Andy Dalton. Simple question for you, Sean and Liam. Did the Bears give up too soon with Russell Wilson punting and signing Andy Dalton? Go ahead, Sean.
When's the NFL draft again? Oh, in a month and a half? Yeah, the Bears gave up too soon. I mean, someone of Dalton's caliber is going to be available for the foreseeable future. There's guys like that all over the place, especially with the league's cap situation. There's going to be a lot of people that are good and still unsigned by the time all this is over. The Carson Wentz situation showed us that sometimes if you wait, the other team will eventually take your deal when they realize it's the best one. So I think that could have happened too. More importantly, the Bears have waited 40 years for a good QB in the draft. So why not wait a few more weeks?
Interesting. Perhaps the best option would be in the draft. Liam, thoughts on the Bears' impatience or aggressiveness?
I don't think they gave up too soon. I think they gave up at just the right time because this is not a Carson Wentz situation. This is not a Matthew Stafford situation. The Seahawks are under no obligation, nor do they want to trade Russell Wilson. For the Bears to even get the Seahawks to pick up the phone again after this initial offer, which was presumably their final offer, they would have had to probably give up 9, 10, 13 draft picks, something like that, and along with that, a couple more starters. And what's the point of bringing in a quarterback that good if you decimate your team and your ability to put more talent around him in the near future? I can't say I like the Andy Dalton move, but I can say that Russell Wilson was unattainable hard stop.
See, I'm trying to understand what the panic was for the Bears, because why do you need Andy Dalton when you already have Nick Foles? I think, Liam, your point on this is that it's that Russell Wilson's not getting traded. But if that's the case, then move on to something else. Don't move on to Andy Dalton. And hey, the draft is a good enough option. Sean, you're a little bit more with me on this one, so you are on the board 1-0 as we give it to Sean to start off here. Question 2, Liam is up, sticking with the NFL, and we're going to free agency. Ton of action as per usual here. The New England Patriots going crazy. San Francisco able to hold on to Trent Williams. Tampa bringing back their core, going for the back-to-back. And it doesn't have to be any of those 3 teams, by the way. Let's look around here. Who has, quote-unquote, won NFL free agency to this point? Liam.
It's got to be my New England Patriots, Mark. They had three big problems coming into this offseason. They needed to fix their pass rush, they needed to fix their run defense, and they needed to find somebody to catch the ball. By bringing in Matthew Judon and Kyle Van Noy, along with the return of Dante Hightower, who opted out of last season, that gives the Patriots one of the most versatile linebacker groupings in the league, which will help significantly in the pass rush. They signed the two best tight ends available, and Cam Newton loves his tight ends. He and Greg Olsen connected for over 800 yards every season they were both healthy while they were in Carolina. Even the Jalen Mills signing, which I didn't love other than secondary, helps offset Patrick Chung's retirement for today. Kendrick Bourne is a diamond in the rough, and Nelson Aguilar is Nelson Aguilar, but he's a deep threat. And on top of all that, Bill Belichick handed out a lot of money, but all that money is really coming in the latter half of the contracts when the cap spike is going to go up. Cap's going to go up, and the money doesn't make that much of a difference. I got to say it's the Patriots.
It's a man who loves his New England Patriots. I haven't brought out the bell in a long time on the over 30-second time. Sean, who's won NFL free agency?
The teams that usually assemble these kind of dream teams in the offseason via free agency usually don't win free agency. I'd say the two contenders that invested in the O-line won the most. That's the Chiefs with Joe Thuney, and they got Kyle Long out of retirement, I believe. And the Niners retained Trent Williams, and they signed Alex Mack at center. We saw last year that even the most talented QB I've ever seen couldn't even muster 10 points in the Super Bowl without good protection. People think these signings aren't sexy, but after this, I'm going to start the hashtag O-linemen are sexy. You hear me that, Carm?
It is true that you win up front. There's no one would argue that, I don't think, although you got to have that quarterback too, but you can't be running for your life as we saw in the Super Bowl and as we've seen over the course of football time forever. However, I don't know, Trent Williams, man, 33 years old, getting all that dough. It feels a little dicey to me. I know that some 49ers fans out there are super excited, and his celebration was something. Liam is completely over the top and 100% biased on his Patriots. I think that is incredibly obvious, but I'm going to reward him for his fandom here, sticking to his love and his Red Sox hat on right now. I do think that the Patriots overall, you got to feel good about what they've done. Although when you're that noisy, sometimes it's doesn't exactly turn out particularly well. All right, 1-1 after our NFL questions. We go to the NBA, and Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks battling back from a first-half deficit. They didn't look good early, but they looked good late, beating Joel Embiid-less Sixers, as what I was trying to say here. Giannis celebrated sitting on the court. It irked Dwight Howard. It irked some of the Sixers. Giannis says he's just having fun. I'm wondering, did Giannis cross the sportsmanship line? Sean, what do you think?
Have we gotten that soft in the NBA at this point? I mean, the only time he crossed the line is when he didn't put hot peppers on his cheesesteak in the post-game interview. No, he didn't cross the line. It was against my team, too. The story here isn't him and Dwight Howard, who wants to fight everyone this year, including the valet at the stadium. Giannis had like 4 points in the first half, and then he came back out and battled out of a 19-point hole, hit I believe, his first three of the game to ice the game before his celebration. I mean, it was kind of an average celebration, too. He just sat down. It wasn't even a taunt. So, I mean, do what you want, man.
Do what you want. Live your life. Liam, did he cross the sportsmanship line?
I'm afraid to say I'm with Sean here. He definitely did not cross the sportsmanship line, but I am of a different mindset of Sean. I'm from the school of if you don't like it, stop it. If you don't want Giannis celebrating on your court, then don't give him a reason to do that. Crossing the line is sucker punching somebody or doing anything Kevin Garnett has ever said on the court. That's crossing the line. This isn't crossing the line. As my muse, Stephen A. Smith, said on First Take today about the situation, anyone who is mad about this should grow the hell up.
I think you're 100% right, and I'm with you, Liam, but yet I'm giving the point to Sean for his hot take on the Philly cheesesteak that Giannis had in the postgame. That just is such an off-the-board sport and order moment that I got to reward it. And you're both on the same coin here that, look, Giannis is just having fun, and Liam, I'm with you, too, on if you don't like it, then don't lose to Milwaukee and give up a big lead even when you don't have Joel Embiid. I do wonder, though, you kind of are extra poking at the bear here. What does that look like when they play the next time? But hey, maybe Giannis and the Bucks are good enough to back it up. 2-1, Sean, as we go to question 4. Liam is up here. So let's throw some love at LeBron James as his empire just continues to expand. This guy is unbelievable. Now a limited partner of the iconic Boston Red Sox. This is, I mean, my God. And his goal is to own an NBA team someday. He's got his own school. He's the best player in basketball. Give me something that LeBron will do in the future that will continue to raise the bar of sports, one of sports all-time greats? Liam.
I got to say that LeBron is going to run for office at some point in his life. I don't think it's going to be anything as crazy as president, not senator, not house, but at a local level, you could easily see LeBron James running for mayor of Cleveland. And you're telling me people wouldn't vote for him? The dude is a genius. He's obviously really smart. He's smart enough to know that he needs to surround himself with people who know exactly how that kind of thing works. And he knows the direction that he wants to bring the people in the city that he grew up in. So as far as lines that have been crossed, I don't think, many athletes have successfully crossed into the political sphere. I think LeBron James will be the most successful to do so.
He's certainly weighed in that forum before. Sean.
He's going to follow in Kobe's footsteps and win an Oscar. Yes, I said that. Movie star. Space Jam 2, Mark. I know people have been preparing to hate this movie for like 2 years, but with Black Panther, Creed, and Fruitvale Station director Ryan Coogler at the controls, this thing could be really good. You have Don Cheadle as the villain. Has anyone actually done their homework before they started to hate this thing? I mean, LeBron's appearance in Trainwreck was but this will push them past Shaq, Kareem, and OJ into the Jim Brown territory. I think movie stars is his next frontier.
Well, it's not a bad answer because it's happening. So, but you mentioned we've seen LeBron act before, so I don't know if we're getting any Oscars here. And I also think that where Liam's going here is probably the stunning part. That would actually be just something that we would be not completely shocked by, but oh my God, is he really going to do that? And he's given a lot of opinions over time. So it'd be something that I'd love to see. Mayor of Cleveland sounds about right. President seems a little too tall. 2-2, Liam, you have tied it up here as we go to question 5. Best of 3 now, sport in order, edging towards a fantastic finish here. Sean, you're up. So the hashtag not NCAA property, college basketball players are pushing for this association to permit athletes to earn money for things like sponsorship deals, online endorsements, maybe some personal appearances, something that people are definitely going to pay for. What is the first thing the NCAA should do, if anything, if you can go that route too, to make things more fair for student athletes? Sean.
I think the first thing is the most simple thing, and that's their names. Just let them make money off their literal autographs or their names. So it's either signing an autograph or getting in the NCAA video game if that does come back. I mean, if you don't have ownership over your own name, then what do you have? I mean, would you rather have them get a job at the campus McDonald's to earn some spending money? I know this deals with more of a branding issue, but the first step is owning the actual title you have.
God-given or family-given, I should say, your name. I hear that one. And what else am I going to hear, Liam? What do you got?
I think I'd rather have them start to be able to own their appearance and likeness more than their name. Just let them have these small endorsement deals within the community. I'm not saying anything on the court. On the court gets complicated. No shoes, nothing like that. But I'm talking, commercials in the local Alabama area starring Crimson Tide stars, and they just get a little bit of a paycheck, and then you just let capitalism take it from there. They should be making some kind of money here. This is the easiest way and the most fun way for everybody to do it.
See, I like the idea of ticket sales, and they get a small percentage that goes into an annuity. You're going to get it. I also agree with I think I'm edging more towards Liam here that, look, if your jersey is hanging in the bookstore and people are buying number whatever, and that's you should get some of the dough there. Same thing with video games and whatnot. And that would be the best way, I would think, for guys to and women to make money the sooner the better, because listen, those jerseys are always going to sell, but that number does matter for a lot of people and what they're choosing. 3-2, Liam, you take the lead here. Question number 6, and Liam, you're up. Of all the 1 seeds, as we look at this NCAA tournament, Gonzaga, of course, the heavy favorite to make it to the Final Four, win the whole thing. But let's look at the other 3, and maybe you can even pick Gonzaga. You can have a good reason for it. Which number 1 seed will get upset first? Liam, where are you going?
I think it's got to be Michigan after losing Isaiah Livers. I mean, he was their second leading scorer and by far their best perimeter option. I love Hunter Dickinson. I think he's great, but a dominant big man does not make for a dominant team in today's NCAA. They've also been a great feel-good story this year, winning games in a fun fashion led by Juwan Howard, and those kind of teams are usually set up for disappointment for reasons that I cannot statistically prove, but I will tell you anecdotally. So I think, when you get, if Dickinson has an off game, anything can happen, and things happen like that in March Madness.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a key player for Michigan. A fair argument. Sean, what do you got?
I mean, I think it's got to be Baylor. They got off to a hot start winning their first 18 games, but then COVID put them on pause for like 3 weeks. And we all know in sports, when it comes to playoff time or tournament time, pick one, starting hot's not what matters. It's ending hot, which they didn't do. They lost before they got to the Big 12 title game. They had a lot of sloppiness, which is understandable. But the region also includes possible matchups against UNC, Nova, Florida, and Ohio State. Rustiness and a ruthless schedule are not a good combo.
You left out the Hartford Hawks, which was my first college, only lasted 1 year there before transferring to Iowa. Tough 1-16 matchup for Baylor. Also, Baylor, they rely on, you got to shoot it well if you're Baylor, and to do that consistently, I'm not sure, which is why I think actually Michigan, because they've got so much talent and defensively, I think they might survive, although it's a big-time loss. I'm leaning towards Sean on this one. 3-3 as we go to our final question with the Final Four on the line. It's all here for you, and yes, let's all pause. Today is March 18th. 26 years ago today, 1995, Michael Jordan sent the fax. I'm back. I'm going to start to cry, letting the world know he was coming back to play right there for your Chicago Bulls alongside Scottie Pippen and company. 3 more titles were on the way. Simple question for you. Is this the biggest day in the history of sports? Sean.
Biggest day? Biggest press release? Maybe. Biggest day? No. That's June 17th, 1994. The New York Rangers had their Stanley Cup Final Parade. U.S. Open took place. World Cup kicked off. And the NBA Finals had a Rockets game against the Knicks. Oh, yeah. And O.J. Simpson took a white Bronco down the highway on a high-speed police chase. This day had everything. It had ties to like 6 different sports, a highly publicized trial, and it doubled as like the craziest car commercial of all time.
That is going to be tough to beat. Liam, what do you got?
What Sean said is definitely valid, and I also agree with him that March 18th is not the biggest day in sports history, but that all Sean said was only American stuff. What I'm telling you is that the greatest day in sports history was February 22nd, 1980, the Miracle on Ice. No sporting event before or since has captured the national consciousness in the same way, nor enraptured the international community like it did. It was the biggest upset of all time then, and it still is now. Jordan was important for American sports and American athletes, just like everything else Sean said, but this prove to everybody that the underdog always has a chance.
Wow. I am in a tough spot right now because the Miracle on Ice is as iconic as they come. You've got movies. You've got everybody, do you believe in miracles, knows it. And on the other side of the coin, everybody remembers the Broncos chase. Everybody, at least I remember watching the Knicks and the Houston Rockets playing the NBA Finals on a split screen. That was incredible. This might have to fall into just a nice little pause as I look in the eyes. Who wanted it more today? Who prepared? Who really wanted to be in the Final Four? I see a dead tie on that one as well. That's not going to work. I'm doing a deep dive on the full body of work right now, and just the whole look of what just happened today as we move on to the Final Four. And I think overall, we're going to call it an upset. And in my mind, it's upset. I think Sean Daley is going to take the stunner here with a deep dive into a whole big day that I had never thought of, along with his movie history on LeBron James and some other tidbits along the way. Liam, I feel my heart is torn in this moment, but I'm gonna give it to Daley today. No one signed up for this job. It's just a tough one. So, if you're mad at me, I understand. Any thoughts as you bow out to Sean?
No, if there was anybody I was going to lose to, I guess it was going to be to a Philly sports fan. Just fate unravels that way.
Daley, thoughts as you advance to the Final Four, buddy?
Carm, my jump shot's getting back in form. When I finally get out to Chicago to meet you guys, it's going down. Game to 7, you and me.
All right. Hey, I welcome it. I was on the court late last night working on my step back, and it was ugly, but I'm still working on it. Thank you so much for watching Sport in Order today as we move on to the next round of the Elite Eight on Monday, the Final Four coming up in a couple of weeks. Enjoy the NCAA tournament. Liam, thank you so much. Sean, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who helped out today, and we will see you next time.